In terms of smartphones, what do you define as premium? What do you define as budget? Hi guys, my name is Nick Hernandez. This is another episode of NHTV, and today I'm going to give you a review of the Honor 5X. Taking a look at the hardware, we can see on the right hand side we've got a power button and a volume rocker that are both textured. They're very easy to find, and I think they're placed perfectly on the side of this phone. On the left side of this phone, we've got two SIM slots. On the bottom, there is a SIM slot and a microSD card expansion, and on the top, it's just a SIM slot. On the top, you've got a 3.5mm headphone jack, and to the right of that, you also have a microphone. On the bottom, you have your micro USB port for charging, and to your screen, on the left side is a speaker grill for actual output audio, and on the right side is for call quality. So it's not really dual speakers if you're looking at it from a distance, it's really only one mono speaker. The 5X comes with an aluminum construction. It's very lightweight and easy to hold in one hand. I like that it has a nice cool to the touch feel, and it just feels very smooth because of that brushed metal look. The positioning of all the buttons is very nice and very easy to reach. I really like how this phone feels in the hand. The 5X comes with a 5.5-inch 1920 by 1080p display resolution and over 401 ppi. For anyone that's really counting, it doesn't matter at a distance because you really can't discern the difference between Quad HD and 1080p. It looks really nice, has great viewing angles, and has similar color saturation to most AMOLED panels, but has the added benefit of it being an LCD panel and having the ability to have those bright whites. I really like this panel and was very impressed at the fact that it is a very cheap smartphone and you get a very good smartphone panel. Like I mentioned earlier, the 5X comes with a mono speaker on the bottom. In terms of quality, I feel like it sounds pretty hollow and doesn't have a lot of bass to it, but it gets loud enough when you're in a situation where you need to be able to hear your audio. Here's a short clip of the speaker quality, and you can judge for yourself what you think the speaker quality is on this phone. The next thing I want to talk about is the camera. On the back we have a 13 megapixel camera with f2.0 aperture and dual LED flash. The camera app is nice and easy, it opens up quickly, and you can tap to focus. Also, you can adjust exposure levels by moving the little knob up and down. One thing I want to talk about is the different sliders that you have on the bottom there. You have photo, video, time-lapse, beauty mode, and good food mode. This reminds me a lot of iOS, but not as implemented as well as iOS. And the reason I say that is because who really wants a good food mode on the bottom easily accessible? One thing I'd rather have accessible is like an HDR mode or a panorama mode, but in order to get to that you have to click the top right and kind of search through it. And in those features you have different things like panorama, HDR, all focus, best photo, watermark, slow-mo, audio note, and then to get there you have to click the settings after that to try and see the different resolutions. So a lot of this is a little clunky. I wish it was better implemented by Honor's part. One thing I do like is that the camera is able to shoot 1080p at 30 frames per second in video mode, and also on the bottom right you do see that there's some areas for different filters. So for people who like to use Instagram or Facebook a lot, you can have different filters in your photos without having to go through the Instagram app, but it's not as extensive as the Instagram app. So that's a little knock that you can have there, but it's good to have the option. I really like this camera app. Basically the only thing that doesn't work well for me is just the structure of it, but you can tap to focus very quickly, you can take photos very quickly as well. It has a nice shutter speed, and you're always going to get your shot the first time around without having to take a reshot. So I do like the camera app for the most part, but some little changes here and there Honor could fix with a software update or using a camera app from the Google Play Store. Here's some sample shots from the 5X, and as you can tell, the 13 megapixel rear camera does well in good broad daylight. You get good color representation, nice saturation, a nice level of detail, and dynamic range is pretty good as well. In indoor lighting as well, and in low light, you really lose a lot of your detail. Colors start to fade out a little bit, and you lose some of that dynamic range as well. I wouldn't say this is a great camera at low light. It does take some pretty acceptable photos, but it could be much better, and you really have to use flash to get all of that detail. Video quality is okay as well. Since there's no OIS, you get a lot of shaky video. But as you'll see, when I zoom in on this flower right here, you'll see as it blows in the wind, it does look pretty good. You get some great details, and you get great color representation as well. The next category I want to talk about is performance. The 5X honestly is quite disappointing in this category. It comes with a Qualcomm Snapdragon 616 processor with 2 gigabytes of RAM and has 4 cores clocked in at 1.5 GHz and 4 cores clocked in at 1.2 GHz. Everyday normal tasks really don't run well on this phone. I'd say I'd experience lag in one area of either opening an app or scrolling through a web page or even the multitasking screen, which for the most part was pretty disappointing. Every time I tried to get into the multitasking screen, I'd have some type of lag or some type of stutter, and I'd always be waiting a few seconds to try and get it to load. Sometimes I'd have problem also in Instagram and Facebook trying to get videos to load or photos to load onto the screen, and it would just be a mess. For the most part, there are some things that are good with this phone, but performance really wasn't that great for me during my testing period. Since this is a Snapdragon 616 processor, it does come with an Adreno 405 GPU. Gaming was actually not that bad, and it was kind of a mixed bag when you consider when you have everyday tasks and you have games that run smoothly. Normally on most phones, you have games that don't run as smooth or have some drop frame rates, and then you have good day-to-day operation. I don't really play as many games, although I do like Alto's Adventure from time to time, so I really enjoyed playing the game for the most part, but I did not like the everyday tasks. If anything, I'd give this kind of like a C, maybe C minus in terms of an overall score for performance, and that's really disappointing. The next category is an interesting one, and it's software. The 5X comes with Android 5.1.1 Lollipop, but has its own type of skin called Emotion UI or EMUI 3.1. Right off the bat, you can already tell this is not really what you see on Android. On the bottom, there's no app drawer, and you have very many home pages where all of your apps lie, and you have to have very many folders to go in and out of. Also, if you scroll from the top, you show things like your notification shade and your shortcut menu. The notification shade is for your normal notifications, and the shortcut menu has things for Wi-Fi, adjusting brightness, adjusting your settings. Also has a screenshot option to take a screenshot, which is pretty interesting, and a flashlight option, mobile data, and GPS. An interesting feature with the software is that you can actually change the color temperature of your screen. You can either make it cooler or warmer to your liking, but for the most part, I like to leave it in the default mode because I feel like this screen is already good enough. But the customization is there and it's very useful. You also have the ability to change your home screen style. There are two types of styles, standard and simple. Simple is like in its name. It's a simple version that you can put on your home screen to just put the main apps that you want to have on there, like your dialer, your contacts, your camera, your messenger, and you can scroll over and see things like your browser, your settings, and revert back to the standard mode. This is pretty simple, and I like the fact that you have this option in this type of customization for your home screen. Another level of customization is the Themes app. This is very similar to what other smartphone manufacturers are doing like Samsung and HTC in the ability to change your theme of your home screen. This does things like change your wallpaper and your icon pack. It's not as heavy as the customization that you'd see in something like CyanogenMod, but does add another level of dimension to your customization. Another feature you may or may not be interested in is the Phone Manager app. And this is kind of like a different manager that you'd have for your phone that kind of manages your phone accelerator, your storage cleaner, a harassment filter, power saving modes, traffic manager, notification center, do not disturb, drop zone management, and app lock. So there's a heavy level of customization here in the fact that you're able to manage your phone in many different levels. I personally like the power saving mode. I really don't know when I'd use the harassment filter, but for someone who may be able to use it, they'd like that feature as well. I also like the phone accelerator because I feel like it'd make my phone faster considering performance is not that good. The last level of customization you may be interested in, and I was definitely interested in, is the feature to be able to click on your home screen and change things like your wallpapers, your widgets, and your transitions, and you have an option for more settings as well. First, talking about the wallpapers, you can definitely change your wallpapers nice and easily. The next thing you can do is go to your widgets and kind of see the different types of widgets you can put on your home screens. And the last thing I want to show is the transitions. And this is really cool because you can change your transitions to have many different types of ways to scroll between your home pages. There's a default that kind of goes left and right. Then you've got things like perspective, which kind of does like a little bit in and out. squeeze that basically kind of just slides the page over, like if you're kind of dragging the page over. And then you've got box that kind of looks like a box or a cube when you're scrolling. You've got flip over where the screen flips back when you're trying to scroll through, and rotate that kind of looks like an outward box movement. This is really cool and it adds another level of customization, and I really enjoyed the fact that you can have this type of customization. The next thing I can show you as well is the more settings option. And in the more settings option, you can change your home layout to have either a 4x5 or a 4x4 app icons. You can have auto align. You can have a shake mode where you can shake the phone so it can realign the home screen icons. And you have a badge app icon to set whether to show certain badge app icons to have different notifications, or you can have a home screen loop that you can scroll all the way through and loop through your home screens. One thing I will say is the shake feature really didn't work that well for me, and I was kind of concerned with my phone's safety while I was trying to shake the phone to realign the home screen icons. I would recommend doing it if you don't have a case or if you're not very careful with your phone. And considering the fact that it didn't work, it'd be pretty disappointing if you were shaking your phone to try and shake those icons and it didn't work and you dropped your phone and broke the screen. So I'd watch out with that feature. This next category ties in both with hardware and software, and that's the fingerprint scanner. And quite frankly, the fingerprint scanner is a very good fingerprint scanner on this phone. For $200, it's almost astounding how fast it is to unlock the phone and turn it on. It does not press, so it's really just mainly used for being able to turn on the phone by just doing a light tap. But you can also program different features like the one I just showed on the screen, where you can swipe down on the home screen button and basically pull down the notification shade. You can do other things as well, like take a photo by tapping down on it, or going to your most recent app by tapping down on it as well. Moving on to battery life, this phone does very well in this category. It has a large 3000 mAh battery, and pairing that with a 1080p display and a lower clocked Snapdragon 616 processor does well for this battery. I get about 4 to 4.5 hours of screen on time on a single charge, but there are some things I wish I could have. Instead of having maybe the 4.5 hour battery life, I can do something like a 4-hour battery life with 3 gigabytes of RAM, and maybe have quick charge technology if I really needed to top off the battery, considering a charge from 0 to 100% takes about an hour to an hour and a half on my normal charging use. But you can't complain because battery life is really good. The 5X is a dual band phone which allows you to connect to LTE on band 2, 4, 5, 12, and 17, which are the major LTE bands for AT&T and T-Mobile in the US. So connectivity options are good. After talking about connectivity, let's talk about call quality. Call quality is good on the 5X. Most people tell me that I sound very good when I'm speaking to them on the phone, and when I'm listening to them when they're talking to me, they also sound nice and crisp. The cool thing about the phone app is when you're dialing, you have a few different options other than the standard speaker and mute and hold options. You do have an option for a notepad to be able to take notes if you have to take notes or record a phone number, which I find extremely useful. The 5X comes with a 16 gigabyte option, and that's the only option you'll get. But the good thing is, if you pop open one of the dual SIM slots, you'll have access to a micro SD card expansion. And that's really cool. You can expand your memory up to 128 gigabytes via the micro SD, and considering most phones nowadays aren't including this option, Honor did a really good job sticking with their roots and sticking with the micro SD card option. It makes it much easier to transfer your photos if you move from one phone to the next, or if you want to transfer your photos onto your computer. And you can also set the default location to your SD card if you want to have your memory saved on there instead of on your phone's internal storage. Before my conclusion, I want to talk about price and the different color options you can get with this phone. This phone is priced at $199.99, and you can get it in gold, gray, or silver. I'm currently testing out the gold version that I use for this review, and I really love that color option. But if you're more into the black finish, I would recommend getting the gray option, and if you like white phones, I would suggest going with the silver option. You cannot go wrong with either option. They all look very nice in this package. The one thing I do want to say is you can buy this on Amazon, Newegg, or any other type of retailer that sells this, and you can also buy it straight from Honor as well. To wrap things up, the 5X is a fantastic smartphone for the price. For $199.99, you get an amazing build with a great fingerprint scanner, a great screen, and a pretty decent camera on the back. One thing I wish was better was the processing power, but a future update could improve that performance. Thanks again guys for watching this video review. If you'd like to comment, Leave a comment below, and if you like this video, make sure to like and subscribe to my channel. Also, follow me on Twitter at NickHearnTV for all the latest updates in tech and some of the latest updates in my future videos. Thanks again, guys, and I hope you have a great one, and I hope to see you in the next video.